Sons and daughters of the living God, good morning. It is wonderful being here. It's beautiful being here. It's wonderful seeing your faces. And I want to thank God for this great, grand, opportune moment that He has accorded unto us to be living this day. I want to thank God that this is not my first time in AUCA. I came in 2023, but our emphasis was in Masoro. Though we came to this place just to have a tour, and we came, there was no student here because there were holidays, and I'm glad to be back in Gishushu, AUCA. I want to pass you my regards from my wife. She's called Lydia Wera, and together with her, God has blessed us with 3 kids so far. 3 kids. The firstborn is a boy, and he's Lemuel Moses, and his mother named him Shima. Trust me, I don't know what it means, but she told me the name is from this side, so I appreciated it because I'm yet to see an ugly person from this side. So it's Shima. And now the girls, we have twin girls, so I'm a father to twins. And back in my country, I'm called Salongo. Salongo to mean a father of twins. That's not something everybody can get. That is something for a few of us. And the first girl that came out is the one the world would call Babiria is Lesia Kelita. Now that one, her mother named Wase. Wase because even when she was still in the womb, she would hear my voice and she would kick. So, so she was named Wase, and I was told that that simply means the girl is so much interested in her father. So, and then the other one that we could call Nakato is actually Lois Kelaya, and that one her mother named Ineza because she's very peaceful. Very peaceful. Well, factors held constant. I want to thank God for the fact that I'm dealing with IT specialists and postgraduate students. I want to believe that God has given us an opportunity to be face to face with the elites of this nation. And I want to thank God that I'm part of such an august house and such a meaningful society such as this. I want to thank my dear pastor, Pastor Mobira Nathan. Thank you for being with me, and thank you, Pastor Clement, Pastor Nganji in absentia, my elder Molindwa, and the whole administration for having me. May God bless you. We don't have too much time. I once upon a time was in a university set up as a chaplain, so trust me, I understand what it means to keep time. So without further ado, allow me to invite you to humble yourselves as we seek the Lord in prayer, shall we? Spirit of God, fall fresh upon us this morning. We have prayed in Jesus' name. Amen. Tradition versus Jesus. Jesus is a man whom we don't need to introduce because it's been known everywhere. Regardless of how you know him, the truth is he is known. He's a famous creature. He's not a creature, he's a famous figure that we know so much about. And we are going to be bringing him in contradistinction to tradition. And you and I may be knowing that tradition is that part of culture that has been passed down from generation to generation. It may be differing with different families, but it is passed on. There are some things that we do today, not because we actually know about them, but we were simply told that our great-grandfathers did them. And for some reasons, there are things that we believe without any proof, but we believe them anyway. I can give you one of the things that you may want to fight with, but it is actually true. I may ask you, how did you come to know that your mother is your mother? And your answer is going to be, I was told. How did you know that your father is your father? And your answer will be that I was told. Because we've seen people that have been with their fathers for the previous 50 years, and when the father passes, they go to the graveyard crying, and then their mother says, no, don't cry so much. Don't cry so much. He's actually not your real father. And of course, you and I know that even when you go for DNA tests, you'll be surprised to find that you don't have anything in common with your grandfather. And there's no DNA test that is 100%. So that simply shows you that there are things that we've just been told, and we carry them as gospel truth. So this week we are going to be looking at tradition, and then we bring it in contradistinction with Jesus, and then we see the message that Jesus has for us through the Bible. But in view of that theme, this morning we are going to look at the seed. The seed. We want to get it right from Genesis. And as my brother Quizera read from Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, my Bible in this version says that I will put hostility between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He will strike your head, and you will strike his heel. Now, let me ask a simple question. If somebody bruises your head and another strikes your heel, who gets more pain? The one whose head is struck or the one whose heel is bruised? Kumbe your IT specialist, you want a Google form to give me the answers. So if one's head is struck and then one's heel is bruised, who receives more pain? How many are saying the head? All right. How many are saying the heel? How many are saying whichever answer you get, it's the right one anyway? Now the thing is, the moment your head is struck, you won't feel the pain because you'll die. The moment your heel is bruised, that's when you feel the pain. But the Bible is not careless with words. Walk with me, walk with me. The Bible tells us that when enmity has been put between the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent shall be struck by the head, and then the seed of the serpent shall bruise the heel of the seed of the woman. Now you will realize that the moment you don't have a heel, you can't walk. Walk with me. If you don't have the heel, you can't walk. So if our heel has been bruised, it means our walking style has gotten issues. By the way, you will also be interested to find that the moment you buy a new shoe, one of the ways you see that my shoe is going old is by seeing the sole. According to how you walk, the sole gives way, either to the outside or to the inside. And as you're walking past someone, you see, men, we need to understand that when somebody sees us, the moment somebody looks at a man, there are two things they look at first. They look at the shoe and the belt. Now, the moment they see the shoe is wearing out from the inside, they will know that when you walk, you place your heel by the inside. If it is wearing by the inside, they'll know that you walk and you place your heel by the inside. Now, there are some of us who can freely stand anyway, and the others that may not. Now, when the Bible tells us that the seed of the serpent is going to bruise the heel, it simply means that our walking with God is going to be jeopardized. It is not surprising that today people are battling with belief as to whether God exists or he doesn't. Scientists in different arenas of life have walked into life saying God does not exist because their heel has been bruised. Some people are going on to say that God, if you exist, then why do these things happen? Why do bad things happen to good people? If God, you do exist. Others go on to say that God, I believe you exist, but why do these things happen on your watch? You know that I only had my mother in life, but again you allowed her to die. You know that I only had my father in life, but you allowed him to die. You know that I had no way of survival, and still you let this boss of mine let me off my job. God, I know you exist, but why do you allow these things to happen? So we ask God a lot of questions because our bruise, our heel has been bruised. Our walking with God is now questionable. Today, if somebody does things right, they are actually out of place. If you're so faithful, you're out of place. If you're a man and you grow up to 30 years and then you find a woman to marry and then you tell her that, you see, I've never seen a woman, I've never slept with a woman, I don't know what to do. The person will say that, what? You are that archaic. You don't know what to do. 30 years? What have you been doing with those 30 years? Because now wrong seems right. And right is actually very infamous. Because our heel has been bruised. Now walk with me as we walk into this theological chiasm. Genesis chapter 4. Now let's walk into this text. Adam, I'm reading verse 1. Adam was intimate with his wife, Eve, and she conceived and gave birth to a man. Actually, she gave birth to Cain and said, I have had a man with the Lord's help. Gentlemen and ladies, across this week we are going to be digging deeper in the syntax of the Bible. Why does the Bible use the words it uses? When the Bible says that Eve got Cain, and then she said, I thank God because God has given me a man. Allow me to tell us that Eve does not perceive that she's gotten a bouncing baby boy. She says, I have received a man. Ish. Now, a man in Hebrew, it is not true that everybody who puts on a trouser is a man. There are some people that put on trousers, but are simply creatures. For the Jews, or for the Hebrew mind, for one to qualify to be a man, you must qualify in so many aspects of life. But we are going to zero down on 3 for the sake of this message. Number 1, for you to qualify to be a man, you must be able to fight your battles and win them. So men never quit. Men never fail. So if whatever course you're taking, you never get an F, you never get an E, you never get a C. So the moment you perform and you get an F, the Hebrew man will come and say that, dear associate with men, walk with creatures. If you can't fight a battle and win, if you're always whining and complaining, if you are the man in this place and every time you're like, this institution, I don't know what we shall do. Oh, I don't know what we shall do. This school is not so good. The moment you're whining and complaining, the Jew will say you do not qualify to be a man because men fight and men win. I'm a footballer. I play left wing, right wing. I can also be an attacking midfielder, but above all, I'm a 10. I'm a fan of Liverpool, whatever you think. Now, yesterday we played a game and we lost. And we lost to a team that is so fake. Now, the moment we lose, we do not walk out of the field as men. We walk out of the field as creatures. So a man fights, a man wins. 2, a man must be having the propensities to support. Do you support someone? Is there someone who can claim that I am where I am because of him? I am who I am because of him. The moment there is no one that you are supporting, you are not a man. That explains why among the Jews, you do not qualify to be a man until you're 30. You can see that even Jesus Christ, when he was in this world, he never did anything until he was 30. Actually, when Jesus was born, they brought him gifts. And then the next thing we hear about him is that he's 12 and is in the temple asking questions. And the next thing we hear about him is being baptized. Because between 1 and 29, you're just useless. Well, as far as the Bible is concerned. You're not a man, because no one can ably say that I'm where I am because of him. So you're a boy. So you're a woman, you date someone below 30, you are dating a boy who's going to run back to his dad and say, Daddy, I need money for a panty. You are not a man. So you must be able to support. And then the final thing is care. Can you take care? So a man is not one who impregnates a woman and runs away saying that, you see, for us in our clan, we don't impregnate people before we are married. The moment you find you're old enough to sleep with a woman but not old enough to take care, then you're not a man. You must be able to fight your battles and win. You must be able to take care of someone. You must be able to support. Then you can qualify to be an ish, a man. Now, when Eve begets Cain, she names him Cain for a reason. The name Cain means a destroyer, a spear shaft. Now, when Eve begets this Cain, she names him Cain because she knows that this is a destroyer. She knows that this is the seed that was promised. He's going to destroy the seed of the serpent. He's going to support me because I was sent out of the Garden of Eden. He's going to take care of me because I was sent out of the Garden of Eden. He's going to fight the devil and he will win. So he is Cain. So the name Cain is actually a name for giants. The name Cain is a name for people that fight and win, people that support, people that take care. Cain. I don't know what your name is. But for the Jews, a name is not something you simply give. You must think through to give someone a name. My name, Caleb, means as brave as a dog. Not a dog. But as brave as a dog. And 2, it means as accommodative as a basket. So don't meet me on the road and call me a basket or a dog. The name only means as accommodative as a basket. Whatever you put therein, it will accommodate. And as brave as a dog. Even what we can't manage, we bark. Cain. So Eve knew that this is the man. How many of us are having the confidence of the people at home, but we're here being extremely opposite of what is expected of us? Your mother, your father, your family. Some of you are the fathers in your homes. You're the mothers in your homes. You've come here to pursue education. And your children are out there saying, Mama has gone to school. Papa has gone to school. And you're here looking at everything. And there's no way you can go back home and say, my son, I didn't understand a thing. Cain, destroyer. The hopes of Eve were so high in this man called Cain. And then the Bible tells us in verse 2. Then she also gave birth to his brother Abel. I told you the Bible doesn't use words just for just. Now, it no longer tells us that again it bore another man called Abel. It rather tells us, and then she gave birth to his brother. Now Eve is distancing herself from this whatever. And then it says, then she names the boy Abel. Now all of us, we feel that we need to name our children Abel much more than Cain. Because Abel did good. But the name Abel means vapor, weakness, nuisance, nothing. It is because Eve was disappointed. Cain had not been what he'd been expected to be. And And I'm telling you, the moment you're not what you expected to be, there are people that you lead into a loss. Because you've not done your part, you've not played your part well. Cain was expected to be the man, but because he was not what he was expected to be, the moment another was born, he was not called a man, he was called a brother. Now, the word brother, ark, in Hebrew has elements to show weakness, somebody who needs to be supported, somebody that can stand on their own. And so that means that Cain, because Cain is the support, Cain has to care. Cain fights and wins. Cain has to fight and win for his brother. Cain has to support his brother. Cain has to take care of his brother. Cain has to love his brother, because his brother is nothing. He's vapor. He's a nuisance. So therefore, Abel is a nuisance and is only present because somebody is helping him. He cannot stand on his own. The moment you call somebody brother, you're simply saying, I can support you. I can take care of you. I can fight for you. So sometimes you do these things in the Christian church. You simply come and say, brothers and sisters, I greet you. The moment you cannot support me, don't call me brother. The moment you don't love me, don't call me brother. The moment you can't take care of me, don't call me brother. Feel free to stand and say, worshippers of God, good morning. You call me brother because you can take care of me. You call me brother because you can support me. You call me brother because you can be better than me. The word brother in its usage here has nothing to do with blood relationship. It has all things to do with support. That is why Abel has to be supported, because he's weak. And the word has a clear word that equates to it in English, and the word is, you know, like when you have a towing truck, a vehicle is broken down, and then a truck comes to tow it away. Now that vehicle that is being towed away is the brother, and the towing truck is Cain. Now Abel. Now the Bible goes on to say, walk with me. The Bible goes on to say in the very same verse that Abel became a shepherd of flocks, but Cain worked the ground. You see, these details that are being given, they've told us the firstborn is Cain, and the other is Abel. And once they were telling us what they are doing, now they mention Abel first. Because God loves to identify with the younger one. Walk with me. God identified with Abel, not Cain. God identified with Isaac, not Ishmael. God identified with Joseph and Benjamin, not Reuben, not Judah. God identified himself with Jacob, not Esau. Once you come to the New Testament, God identified with the younger boy that went as prodigal, not the boy who stayed, because God identifies with the younger one. And there is something good with the younger ones. The younger ones are always knowing that I am weak and God is my strength. I'm not wise, God is my wisdom. So God identifies with the weak because it's their strength. So he says, Abel, I have chosen. So Abel became a keeper of flocks. And Cain, because he was not chosen, became a keeper, actually a tiller of the garden. Let me say this while looking this side. God was not a vegetarian, you see. How you use that information is entirely up to you. It's entirely up to you. Pastor Nathan, are we together? It's entirely up to you. And so when time came for the sacrifices to be made, Abel sacrificed the firstlings of the sheep, and then Cain brings the firstlings of his crops. So a sheep is being sacrificed, and somebody is sacrificing watermelons and mangoes and cabbage and skumawiki and dodo and so many things. And then God says, having shown you the sacrificial system, Because in sacrificial systems, I wanted you to see that the moment blood gushes out of an innocent animal, it is a symbol to show that Jesus will once upon a time innocently come, and then he will shed blood, innocent blood, that we may be saved. But which blood is going to come out of a jackfruit? Then he says, Cain, I cannot choose you. And then in verse 8, Cain said to his brother Abel, let's go out to the field. Now, when I talk about this, my brother Hakizimana may get this more. The word here is reflexive. Now, a reflexive verb is one whereby the doer and the receiver of the action are the same. The same way we can say that I am eating or I am sitting. So the sitting is done by me, and I'm the one benefiting from the sitting. It is reflexive. I am eating for myself. I am doing this for myself. I am gaining from what I'm doing. So once this word comes that Cain spoke to his brother, walk with me, walk with me. Cain didn't actually talk to his brother. Cain got an attitude for his brother because his brother had been accepted and he had not been accepted. He thought of himself that I need to go to the garden and kill Abel. Now walk with me in this. When they go to the garden, Abel went to the garden freely, anticipating no danger, because he knows that I'm with my elder brother. I'm with somebody to support me. I'm with somebody who loves me. I'm with somebody that will take care of me. So he went without thinking of any danger. And that is the problem with people that are innocent. So many girls' hearts have been broken because they are innocent. So many young men, their hearts have been broken because they landed on a taekwondo, on a commando. The boy is innocent. He brings his utmost love, and then he pours his love to this woman, and the woman is used to breaking others, breaking and being broken. We were talking yesterday night, and we said that there are some girls who are working on quarter hearts. The first time she fell in love, somebody broke her heart, and then she landed in love the second time. Again, her heart was broken. Now the broken heart was broken. Now you're dealing with somebody's heart which heart has been broken by the broken breaker, and then the broken breaker also breaks this broken heart. So somebody is walking with a quarter heart, and she's waiting to break another one. And then, poor man, you come with a lot of innocence and you say, I've found a girl, I'm going to marry her because she has a clear face, her eyes are well, the shoulders are well perpendicular to each other, and the neck is strategically located. And then when I look at the sitting department, everything is, oh yeah. I'm telling you, you may see all those things, and then you come innocently and your heart shall be broken because you went with somebody who is a breaker. Cain is a breaker. Now, once they go into the garden, Cain looks at this innocent young man and says, how can he be chosen when I am not chosen? I'm telling us there are some people that are being disturbed at their places of work simply because they are younger. Somebody is being possibly disassociated with because it's brighter. Somebody hates them because they're smarter. Somebody hates them because they're wiser. Somebody hates them because they're much more organized than themselves. Somebody hates them because the manager said your work is good and they've never received a comment. I am telling us, so many innocent people have suffered at the hands of breakers. I'm here to let you know that God identifies with the broken. You may be broken today, broken under the hands of the breakers. The Bible tells us God identifies with the broken. So break me all you want. God will identify with me. And then the Bible goes on to tell us that once Abel had been killed, God came and asked Abel that, rather Cain, where is your brother? Mind that God doesn't ask that, where is Abel? He says, Cain, where is your brother Abel? You see, we are talking about the seed. When Cain chose to be rebellious, he automatically took the seed of the serpent, and the seed of the serpent moved on the head of Cain, and then the seed of God moved on the head of Abel. Now, when Abel is killed, it simply means that there is a moment in this world when God has no seed and the devil has the seed. So God comes to ask that, Cain, where is your brother? Where is him that you're meant to take care of? Where is him whom you are meant to support? Where is him whom that you're meant to fight for? Where is he? And Cain says, am I my brother's keeper? Am I responsible for his weaknesses? Am I responsible to take care of him? Am I responsible to love him? Is it my responsibility to take care of him? And then God says, well, because it is not your responsibility, I'm going to give you punishment that strips you of responsibility. You're going to become a vagabond. And that's how Cain becomes a vagabond, because vagabonds don't take care of no one. Vagabonds support no one. Vagabonds fight for no one. They're only there for their survival. And then God says that is yours. But at this time, God has no seed. Let me tell us, there are moments at our workplaces when we believe that God has no seed. Everything evil is taking place. People are poisoning each other. People do not love each other. People are hating each other because of their prejudices and their pride. People hate each other because of how they look like. People hate each other because of where they're coming from. People hate each other because of their ancestry. People hate each other because of their clans. People hate each other because of their tribes. But God is telling us that God goes beyond the tribe. God goes beyond the clan. God goes beyond the borderlines. God did not create Rwanda. He didn't create Uganda. He created the world. He created man. It is man that goes on creating these differences that we want to identify ourselves. That for us, we are Ugandans, and you see, as Ugandans, this is what we think. You see, for us, we are Congolese. As Congolese, this is what we do. And for us, we are from Rwanda. As Rwandans, this is what we do. For us, we are from Netherlands. This is what we do. For us, we are from Zambia. God didn't create those borderlines, but sometimes they come because there are moments when God seems to be having no seed. And when he's having no seed, the evil takes place. People are killed. People are slaughtered. People are poisoned. Poisoned by them that they love. Poisoned by them that they call brothers. Poisoned by them that should be their bosses. Poisoned by them that should be supporting them. Because God seems to be having no seed. And sometimes walk there. Somebody walks with their head downcast because they feel they have no one to trust. They look at everyone and they don't know whether this is the person to trust or this is the person to disdain. The devil had seed, God had no seed. In the interest of time, allow me bring us to chapter 5. No, before we go to chapter 5, come to verse 25. Chapter 4, verse 25. The Bible says that Adam was intimate with his wife again, and she gave birth to a son and named him Seth. For she said, God has given me another child in place of Abel, since Cain killed him. A son was born to Seth also, and he named him Enosh. At that time, people began to call on the name of Yahweh. It meant that since Abel died, until this moment, a period of over and above 100 years, the name of God was never called. Worshipping had ceased long. And when Seth is born, that is when worship comes back, because the name Seth means substitute. So Seth was a substitute to Abel. And at the birth of Seth, God says that now I have a seed again. Because Cain killed my seed then, but now my seed is back. And once God's seed is back, things start to get some limelight. Peace seems to be coming back. Love seems to be coming back. Tranquility seems to be coming back because the seed of God has returned. But walk with me in chapter 5. These are the family records, 5 verse 1. These are the family records of the descendants of Adam. On the day that Adam created man, on the day that God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female. When they were created, he blessed them and called them man. Now listen to this. Adam was 130 years old when he fathered a son in his likeness, according to his image, and he named him, which name? Seth. I have a question. Who is Adam's firstborn? Cain, right? And now the Bible is telling us that this is the family line of Adam. When Adam was 130 years, he got a son in his own image, in his own likeness, and he named him Seth. Where is Cain? And the answer is Cain has been eliminated. The moment you don't walk with God, you were eliminated. So God counts the children of Adam, and Cain is not counted. There are some of us who've always known the truth about God and have chosen to take the other path. Chances are high when God starts to count, he eliminates them that are carrying the seed of the evil one. We may be in AUCA Gishushu, and we may be saying that we're over 600 postgraduate students and over maybe 3,000 undergrad students, and we can say that the total at AUCA Gishushu, we may be closing in on 4,000 students. That may be the registry. But God may be coming here and he says, well, when I look at Gishushu, I have 100 people. Because God eliminates. Cain is out of the line. Now, in the interest of time, let me just speak of the others. When Seth is eliminated, when Seth comes in, Seth now becomes the champion of the seed of God. And you see, God works in 100%. He doesn't work with 99.99 or what. Even the binary languages, 0.0000000. He doesn't work in those languages. He works in 100%. You're either fully his or wholly not his. And then we come to chapter 6, where we are told that when mankind began to multiply in the earth and the daughters were born to men, the sons of God saw the daughters of mankind that they were beautiful, and they took any they chose as wives for themselves. And the Lord said, my spirit will not remain with mankind forever, because they are corrupt. Their days will be 120 years. Then it goes on to say that the Nephilim, when the Nephilim were on earth, both those days and afterwards. Now, in this, the Bible is telling us something that we need to take care of. When we hear that the sons of God admire the daughters of men, there are teachings that have come to tell us that angels were in heaven and admiring women. So angels were escaping from heaven, they come and marry women on earth here. That is practically wrong. The children of God were those in the lineage of Seth. And the children of evil, the children of the devil, or the sons of men, were those in the line of Cain. Of course, somebody is having a question that now it was only Cain and Abel, and then Adam and Eve. So where did Cain get his wife? And then how did Cain get children? How did he have a family? Of course, those of you that care to read the Bible, you're going to find in chapter 5 actually, and chapter 4, that Adam had a lot of children after Cain and Abel. And so, trust me, at the very beginning, Adam, having married Eve, Cain must have married one of his sisters. And that's how they gave birth. There were few. Please, today don't marry your sister. You're so many. There's so many. Go somewhere else and find a daughter of somebody else and marry that one, not your sister. And so God says, because the children of Seth were now sneaking and marrying daughters of... You see, there's something wrong with evil. Evil looks beautiful. Evil looks beautiful. That I don't know, for some reasons, people that are so faithful are not so beautiful. I don't know whether you've realized. People that are not so faithful, they have the beauty, they have the looks, they have the figure. I don't know about you, but in Uganda we have when an introduction ceremony goes on, that's when people do makeup. Actually, that's when I realized that a woman can have a whole kilogram of makeup. And today, when I see a woman and then she weighs and she's like 60 kgs, I may subtract like 7, because you may find a woman with a hair that is not hers, the nails are not hers, the eyelashes are not hers, and all those are kilograms. Now she has a whole a whole kilogram of foundation, and now this lady was for introduction, and of course the first people came to greet even the singers, the aunties came and greeted, and then they went back to pick the girl. But I was surprised the girl wasn't coming, so I went to check. The guys, we are here, the girl is not coming, time is going, what's happening? They told me, Pastor, will you manage these things? I said, I will manage, I have time, tell me. He said, well, Pastor, Hanyash is coming. I said, what? Hanyash is coming? So, yeah, we've sent for Hanyash. You've sent for, what do you mean you've sent for Hanyash? What does she use for sitting? I mean, they said, you see, Pastor, we told you don't understand this thing. I said, please explain. And as we were there, a border came on a terrific speed. For you don't use polythene bags here, and you're so safe. With a green polythene bag. And then they rushed inside. Then someone told me, the nyash is here. They entered the house, and after a few minutes, indeed, the girl came out very beautiful as beauty can have it. You see, some people are beautiful, but others are full of beauty. Now, this one came full of beauty, and once I looked at the sitting department, it was heavy. Say, oh, this is what they mean. And then I asked them that, so what happens? Say, no, you use it when it's dirty, you wash it. Say, oh, you can even wash it and hang it. And so when the wind blows, you can able to say, your nyash has fallen. And if somebody steals it, you can say, hey, go, bring back my nyash. But for some reasons, people that are faithful are not so beautiful. By the way, men who are here, look for those that are not so beautiful, they are faithful. Factor is held constant. They are beautiful. But those that are, you see, sometimes you say beauty lies in the hands of the beholder, right? But there are people that are ugly, and every beholder will say, I'm speaking as a man, that for you, in as much as God is the creator, it seems evolution is also true. So the sons of Seth were marrying from these people. And then God says, my seed cannot be infected. My seed can no longer go to those people. I cannot have a seed that is mixed up. My children must be mine. They must be having elements that are mine alone. I cannot have a seed that has been infected with the seed of man. So I will not struggle with you. And then those who read the Bible, you'll find out that God says, because of this, I'm going to wipe this whole earth so that I may get the seed of mine own. And indeed, the Bible tells us in 6 verse 8, Genesis, that then God found Noah. Noah is the only righteous person. And then God tells Noah that build an ark, because I'm going to erase this world. I'm going to clean it up. I'm going to wipe it up. I must have a seed that is pure. And indeed, God brought the flood, and it wiped out each and every single person. And only Noah, his wife, and the 3 sons and their wives are the only people that survived. And at that moment, it was only God that had a seed, and the devil had no seed. But you see, the devil has a way of always creeping into life. Sin has the way of creeping into life. And as Noah was celebrating the fact that he had escaped the death, his son called Canaan, actually Ham, came and saw his nakedness. Now, the Bible is a very, very beautiful book because it uses words that are not as plain, but they are ethical. You can work with them. And if you look at the Hebrew language doesn't have abusive words. It doesn't have abusive words. It doesn't. They always have a way they coin their words. It takes somebody who has possibly tried to read to understand. And the word that is used, that Ham came and saw the nakedness of his father. He didn't simply see to go and say, hey, my father is naked, come and see. It was deep. Ham, met his father, who had drunk of the fermented grape wine. He was naked and bending in his tent. And Ham came and sodomized his father. The word is sodomized his father. The question is, in a world where there was no longer sin, that every sinner had been wiped out, how did Ham get this motive of sodomizing his father? That's when his father woke up, he realized what had been done to him. Because if you wake up and you are just sitting asleep, you cannot say that I've realized somebody was looking at me. But when he was sodomized, he must have felt the friction. Say, who did this? Sin had crept into life again, and it infected the chosen of God. So the seed of God was again disorganized. And God looked at this world and said, now I need to make my own nation. This is my concluding phase. I need to make my own nation. A nation after my own name. A nation that is going to be having me as their God. A nation that will no longer believe in tradition. A nation that will believe in me. A nation that will not have a king, but will have me for a king. And I must make this nation out of somebody who is believing in me. That way, that is how we come to Genesis chapter 12, when God calls Abram. My pastor mentioned something about it yesterday, that Abram had always had gods. See, Abram had created his gods. And there are some people that have created their own gods. That the moment you are in Kigali and it starts raining and you left your God outside, you must run back home to put your God inside, lest it gets wet. Abram worshipped different gods. But when God comes and calls him, he says, Abram, I want to call you to a difference. I want to call you to be different. Now, God calls us to be different. Sometimes people are afraid to be different because people want to be similar. Some people are afraid to show that they are true. Some people want to be swallowed up by the commotion. People do not want to stand for God because everybody else is not doing it. Somebody doesn't want to stand for God because no one else is standing. We want to stand and everybody identifies us with themselves. But God is saying, I need somebody that can identify with me even when heavens fall, that they do not wink an eye over evil. So he says, Abram, I'm choosing you. I'm taking you to a place where I'm going to build my own nation from you, Abram. But if I'm to do this, I cannot do this with you in your homestead. Leave your father, leave your mother, come out of that land, go where I will show you. I'm not even going to mention the place, because once I mention the place, there are some people that may go with you. And indeed, Abraham didn't understand at first. He walks with Lot. And God never talked to Abraham all the days he was with Lot, until the day that Abraham part company with Lot. That is when God spoke to him again, because God told him, I am sending you alone. So Abram got to a place alone, and God started his own culture with him, started his own nation with him, and said, Abram, I want you to be different. Embrace the difference. Once you walk into the land and you're different, please be free with being different. You do not need to be like anyone else. You just need to be like me. I'm telling us, brothers and sisters, Jesus has not called us to look like anyone else. He has called us to look like him. Tradition tells us that you must look like anybody else. You must look like your brothers. But Jesus tells us you must look like me. So I do not call people to Christ to look like me, or to look like the pastor, or to look like the elder. I'm calling people to Jesus to look like him, because Jesus is not a tradition. So feel free to be different. They may not understand you because you're different. They may not respect you because you're different. As long as you're with God, I'm telling you, so many people are going to be against you. Your family shall be against you. I'm having some brothers and sisters that are saying that I would have believed in Jesus Christ, but I will be alone in my home. I will stand on one plane in my home. Nobody will understand me. Nobody has to understand you. Just need to stand with Jesus than stand with tradition. It doesn't make sense when everybody is applauding, when everybody is clapping for you, when heaven has its face downcast. You rather stand alone, differently, because God has called us to a difference. So in what we eat, in how we dress, in how we speak, in how we do what we do, we need to embrace that difference. They don't need to like it. It just needs to be true. And that way, God starts to take us away from tradition. Because tradition says that look at how things have been done always and make sure you're there. And Jesus says, look at me and how I do things. No one is going to go to heaven because of looking like somebody else. People are going to heaven because they're looking like Jesus. Embrace that difference. Abraham embraced the difference and chose to walk with God when everybody else would choose otherwise. For you to choose to be faithful when everybody else is choosing otherwise, it simply shows you have known the seed that walks upon you. It's actually not surprising that it was from Adam that we get to Israel, and then in Israel you get down into the lineage, we get into David, and then from David we get deep into that lineage, we get Jesus, because Jesus is the ultimate seed. But the ultimate seed came from people that chose to stand out, to be different. My wife, she's a nurse. She's now pursuing her bachelor's in nursing. But she told me once upon a time that they were going to write an exam, and there were some people that were having the whole exam, having the whole exam. And then they were saying that, please, everybody part with 50,000 Uganda shillings and we give you an exam. Everybody part with that and we give you an exam. And then she came and asked me that they are telling us that they need 50,000 shillings for this exam, and the exam is pretty hard. Pharmacology. It is pretty hard. How do I advise me? I told her that please embrace the difference. Do not pay the 50. Not because I don't have it. I even showed it to her. I have it. But I'm not going to give it to you because you must show the difference. And then she said, okay, fine. Let me try to go and show the difference. They went into that exam and her friends were moving out. Before she did, she came out last. And trust me, she got an A. A great deal of others failed because the exam they had wasn't the one. For loving to be like others, we may miss out on the real grace. God has called us to himself. Be different. It makes no sense to be like any other person. Punchline. What value will you bring in this world if you're just like everybody else? of what value are you? With this difference, wherever you go, you make a difference. You bring joy. You bring happiness. You see, there are people who bring joy and happiness wherever they go. And there are others who bring joy and happiness whenever they go. The question is, what is the difference you bring? If you're present, what do we gain? If you're absent, what do we miss? Guys, ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, if your absence cannot be felt, just know your presence is nonsense. If we can't feel your absence, my brother, my sister here, if you can miss being at this campus for 2 weeks and you come back and no one ever realized you're absent, please go to the registrar's office and say, Registrar, I want to change campuses. When they ask you why, just say that I'm not of any value here. How can I be absent for 2 weeks and no one even gets to know that I'm absent? People that are of value, their presence is known. Their absence is felt. So I'm asking you, if you leave AUCA, what does AUCA miss? And if you're present, what do we gain apart from saying that, now you are number 10? What is your value? And the issue is, your value comes in with the difference you make. That is why God is calling us to the difference. Embrace the difference. You were born original. Don't die a copy of someone. So don't be like anyone else. Be like Jesus. Embrace that difference. And God shall bless you. The world may not want to associate with you because they may say you're old-fashioned, you're square, you're rudimentary, you're archaic, you're expired, excommunicated, whatever they say. As long as you're standing for the difference in God, you've got it right. At the end of the day, you'll be the person people will run back to. As you stand out, people are going to be showing you that you're not like us. At the end of the day, you'll be the person they trust. If you don't swindle money the way they swindle money, if you do not cheat the exam the way they cheat an exam, if you don't play ladies the way they play ladies, if you don't play men the way they are playing men, they may show you that you do not belong to our circle. But once they have something sensible to work out, they'll look for you because value is looked for. And that value is looked for because of the difference that you possess. God is calling you to a difference. And then, with that difference, you will not only be reckoned with in AUCA, the nation will, the region will, but above, God will. I'm calling you to a difference. Is there somebody who wants to be different today? Different for the Lord. To look like Jesus Christ and not like anyone else. If you're there, just feel free, get to your feet and rise up and we pray together. With heads bowed and eyes closed, we'll pray. Our dearest Father, sometimes the hardest thing to do is to be different. Shem or Seth got an opportunity of being different. but they went on intermarrying with other people because they thought the difference they were making was not of so much value. So they gave up their uniqueness and they wanted to be involved in everything and everyone. You rejected them. No, having been called to a difference, for some reasons drank of fermented wine and looked like the people that had been annihilated, and sin crept into the world again. Abraham was called to a difference. Of course, in the beginning, he didn't take it seriously. He goes with Lot and made sure that he separates with Lot. And still he went to Egypt and even lied that his wife was his sister. But you still looked out for him because you wanted him to make a difference. And he did at the very end. He made the difference. God, I'm praying for this gentleman in this auditorium. I'm praying for this sister of mine that is standing here with me, that God, may you effect a difference in their lives. Now, God, in this we confide that whenever we ask anything according to your will, you not only hear us, but you should answer us. And without a shadow of doubt, we believe our prayer has been heard and answered. And for everybody in this sitting, for everybody in this arena, may you bless them and keep them. May you raise your face upon them and be merciful to them. May you lift up your countenance upon them and give them peace, now and forevermore. In Jesus' name.